If you don't like that with Grant Napier, how are you? Great to have you on board live for my podcast. Expect to have the great one and only Eric Byrnes join me in just a little bit. Want to let you know that today's show is brought to you by New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. That's right, New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. They've got a fix for you, locally owned for over 20 years. They'll be there around the clock. You have an emergency in the middle of the night, no problem. They have 24/7 service. Just go to newworksplumbing.com. That's NEWWRXplumbing.com. They've got a fix for you. Again, newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. Coming up on the show today, again, if you want to come on, you hit your knock button. I'll put you on screen with me. We can have some fun. We got a lot to talk about. Eric Byrnes should be joining me here in a little bit. We'll talk to Byrnesy. I've got my Crowd Ultra Q&A. And then, as always, yes, indeed, I've got Grant's Rant. Now, you can also text me in the middle of the show on the little chat button right there. You can hit the knock button and come on with me. I would love to hear from you. All right. So, we got a couple of different things that we can do here on No Filter, but my podcast, if you don't like that, with Grant Napier. All right. So, I was shocked when I saw this today. Major League Baseball actually talked for 20 minutes today. They said 90, but then I heard it was 20. Then, all right. So let's say it was 45. Okay. And they said it was an informal talks. I said this on my show I did a little while ago on Listen App. What does informal mean? Like shirts, shorts, flip flops? What the hell does informal mean? Hey, at least they're talking, right? I'm going to get Burnsy's take on this in a little bit when he comes on, because it's crazy to me that you could have as many talks as they had this week. And at the end of the extended deadline on Tuesday, players are talking like, gee, they actually think we're idiots. So I don't know when the hell we're going to have opening day. It's not going to be this month. That much we do know. They've already called off the first two series. Something else I wanted to ask. I was talking about this earlier. With what's going on around the world and in Ukraine, does it affect how you watch sports now? Does it kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say make you feel guilty, but does it kind of, and I don't want to say put in perspective. I always hate when people say, gee, a tragedy puts things in perspective. That should never happen. You should always have your perspective. You should always have a grasp on what's important and what's not in life. I've never really gone by that phrase when something bad happens. Well, gee, that really puts things in perspective. No, you should always have perspective. You should never take your health and your life for granted. You should never take whatever it is that is your livelihood for granted, or your family members, or no, that's not the way life works. I, for one, and I talked about this when I was doing my show on Listen App, we had a call. I use sports as a diversion, and I don't use it for political messages or social messages. And that's why I'm so against the NFL and their social messaging on the backs of helmets and on the field. I don't want that. That's not why I watch professional sports. It's the same thing with the NBA in the bubble when they had Black Lives Matter everywhere. And to Adam Silver's credit, the commissioner of the NBA, he said, hey, you know what? In retrospect, we probably made a mistake. We have to understand that there are people that just want to watch the game. And so you didn't see that anymore. But the NFL, they haven't admitted that. And it's a hypocrisy to me. It's just awful. I don't know how else to say it. But speaking of awful, what's going on in Ukraine is awful. And if you turn the news on, you can't help but you just have your heart go out to the Ukrainians and what's going on over there. And I'll watch a game tonight. When I get done here, I'll probably put a hockey game on, and doesn't mean I don't care what's going on around the world. Doesn't mean that I'm not aware of what's going on around the world. But it just means that I still am going to do what I do to fulfill my enjoyment. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to sit in our living rooms or wherever we're at around the clock and just watch the news over and over and over again. And I mean, the reality is, I don't know, and I'm speaking for me, it's depressing. I mean, it's sad. It bothers me. So we've got that. We got the NBA coming down to the final 20 games. I hear about James Harden in Philadelphia. Isn't it amazing? Why couldn't James Harden play like this in Brooklyn? Because he didn't want to. Why didn't James Harden play like that before he got traded to Brooklyn from Houston? Because he didn't want to. How unprofessional is this guy? Seriously, it's a joke. It is just an absolute joke. And then the wild card in these entire NBA playoffs to me is Brooklyn, because if Ben Simmons can come back and get acclimated with Irving and Durant staying healthy, then Brooklyn. Think about that. Think about, you have two dynamite offensive players, and you have another player in Simmons that can take your best player and neutralize him offensively. So I would watch them. I would watch Brooklyn as the wild card. Miami's really good in the East. Milwaukee is Milwaukee. Chicago's had a really good season. I think the playoffs are going to be wide open this year. I think Golden State is in a bit of a slump right now. I got to believe they'll find themselves when the playoffs begin. You've got Phoenix. If the Jazz could get healthy, and do not count out John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. John Morant, let me tell you something. That guy's the real freaking deal. I mean, he really is the real deal. You talk about a guy, he's not only an all-star, he's inching his way up closer to superstar status. So we've got that. Hey, if you want to come on with me, hit your knock button. If you really care to come on the screen with me, you hit the knock button, and I'll put you in queue, and then you can come on and talk to me. Eric Byrnes, in just a little bit, we'll talk to Byrnesy about what's going on in baseball. And Byrnesy's crazy. Do you know what Byrnesy did last week when he turned 47? That's right. Think about this. I'm going to run 47 miles on the treadmill for my 47th birthday. Good thing Burnsy's not 80. Oh boy. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Think about that. This is a guy that did the triathlon rather, across America, the try across America. Could you imagine jumping in to McCovey Cove, unless you're jumping in to catch a baseball, right? We see that. Can you imagine jumping into McCovey Cove behind the Giants ballpark? Yeah, I'm going to take a little swim today. Yeah, I'm going to take a little swim. I'm going to swim to Oakland. you know, I mean, you think about that. Seriously, you think about jumping in behind right field and swimming in Oakland. Then you're like, boy, that was good. That was a nice 7 mile swim. Oh, what am I going to do now? Hmm. What am I going to do now? Oh, you know what? I'm going to get on my bike and I'm going to ride my bike to Chicago. I'm going to go to Wrigley Field. Hmm. All right. You get to Wrigley Field, then what are you going to do? You know what? I think I'm going to put my running shoes on and I'm going to run the Yankee Stadium. I mean, this guy's crazy. You know that Burnsy ran more than a marathon a day from Chicago to New York? We think about one of the pinnacles of sports achievement in life is to run a marathon, which, by the way, I've never done. I have no interest in trying to run a marathon. But think about not only running a marathon, but doing it every day from Chicago to New York. That's what Eric Byrnes did a couple of summers ago. Fascinating, right? To raise awareness because of all of the programs across our country that have been cut for physical fitness. And I've always thought, you know, there are people that just yap, yap, yap. And then there are people that back up what they do with actions. And Eric Byrnes, his actions spoke for themselves. And along the way, he would have a lot of TV coverage and he would have, rallies at schools and at town halls to raise money for physical fitness programs across America. You got to love that because we got a real problem with obesity in this country, particularly child obesity. It's becoming a real problem because during the pandemic, kids couldn't get outside and play. Now, kids a lot of times are in front of their TV screens, playing their games and on their phones, and physical fitness has taken a real back seat. And, yeah, I know I'm old, but I remember when I was growing up, you had to be, dragged into the house by a parent. You were out playing until the sun went down and it was dark, you'd be playing basketball in the dark. You'd be playing your games of baseball and you could barely see the ball. Everyone had their gloves and their ball at and the bats. And, we were playing stickball, we were playing baseball, we were playing basketball, football. I mean, we played football for hours and we were all outside. I mean, if you drove up and down any street anywhere in America, kids were out playing. Everyone was out. The ball fields were crowded. The basketball courts, you couldn't even get on a court. Everyone was outside with their activities. Now, drive down a street in America and see how many kids are outside playing. See how many kids are outside doing physical activity. So, Bernsey, to his credit, did something about it. And he brought attention to all of the programs that have been cut in this country. And I give him so much credit for raising awareness, raising money, and doing that triathlon across America. Now, think about, forget, and I had Bernsey on the podcast well over a year ago because I was thinking about the physical fitness level of trying to do something like that. And I asked Bernsey this question, the mental, right? I mean, even if you're physically able, and he was, to do that, how do you keep going mentally where you don't just say, that's it, I can't do it anymore? He did it in summertime too. You imagine riding a bike through the elevations of the Western United States, the Rockies, going up through the Sierra Nevada, across Nevada, or whether you were up in Wyoming, going across that part of the country in summertime. I mean, can you imagine the mental aspect of doing an event like that? Oh my freaking goodness gracious. So that to me was fascinating. It really was. And I get asked to speak, not anymore. I used to get asked to speak, a lot at schools in the Sacramento area. And I would go talk to junior high schools and high schools. And, I would look at the students and I was just like, wow, it's sad. There are so many kids that are already facing obesity and the health effects of, coming down with diabetes and other ailments, as they become adults, and the pressure that puts on our healthcare system in America. And then what about when they have kids and, the domino effects? So I don't want to get off on a tangent, but when Byrnes comes on, if you didn't know that about Eric Byrnes, I just wanted to point that out. And then, for his 47th birthday, running 47 miles on the treadmill, live, by the way, right here on No Filter. I mean, if you're going to do it, hey, let's have some fun with it. Watch me run 47 freaking miles on the treadmill. Raise your hand if you could even walk 47 miles, either on a treadmill, downhill, outside. I even got a better question. Raise your hand if you think you could get on your bicycle and ride 47 miles. Huh. For me, if I lived in El Dorado Hills, that would be the equivalent of getting on my bike and riding to, let's say, Dixon. I don't think so. I don't think so. I might not make it out of El Dorado Hills. So forget about running 47 miles. Forget about walking 47 miles. How about the bike of 47 miles? Jay just chimed in and said, Byrnes is a beast. Love his attitude. You got that right. He is a freaking beast. He is a beauty. He's in a class pretty much by himself. He really is. So when he comes on, if he gets a couple of minutes, he's got a lot of things he's doing. I think he's in Georgia right now, and we'll talk to Byrnesy about that. But we'll if he's able to come on the stream, we'll chat with him, and then we'll talk a little bit about the NBA. If you want to ask about any particular team, we can do that. I know we still have a lot of people from Sacramento. I talked about this a little bit earlier, so I don't want to repeat the same stuff. But the Kings are a mess. They really are. Yeah, I wish the A's never traded him too. K Dizzle, you're exactly right. But they really are a mess, you know? Al says Burnsy's a piece of work. Yes, he is. Him and Will the Thrill must watch No Filter. You're right about that. They are must watch. But the the Kings are a mess. Seriously. Just the mess. You look at the NBA teams. Remember when Memphis was the Kings? And look at Memphis now. Look how good they are, right? You remember when Phoenix was the Kings? 3 years ago. 3 years ago. The Phoenix Suns were the Sacramento Kings. Look at them now. Those are just two teams. Look at Minnesota now. Not that I would put them in the same category as Memphis and Phoenix, but if you want to look at Memphis and Phoenix, right there, correct? Think about the Marvin Bagley trade, right? Phoenix had one, Sacramento two, Atlanta three, Memphis four. They took Jackson. Dallas took, obviously, the trade with Atlanta with Trae Young. But think about Memphis. They were in that draft. They were in the draft the year before in the lottery when the Kings took De'Aaron Fox. Look at Phoenix. The De'Aaron Fox draft, they had the pick before the Kings. They took the bust Josh Jackson, who is now on the Kings. Who went in that draft? Right? The Phoenix Suns had the worst. Think about that. They had the fourth pick. The Kings had the fifth pick. Now look at the Phoenix Suns. Look at the Memphis Grizzlies. If you're looking at teams, not every, the Kings haven't made the playoffs in 2006. Look at the teams in the East. Look at the freaking Cleveland Cavaliers after LeBron left. Phew, in the tank. Now look at the Cavaliers, right? They might have home court in first round. How does that happen? Look at Atlanta last year. Atlanta's in the Eastern Conference Finals. We got the man, Eric Byrnes. Byrnesy, how the hell are you, buddy?
Grant, I'm fantastic, dude. We actually, we're down here in Savannah, Georgia, coaching the Bananas, and we have this upcoming world tour. And so every day at 7 o'clock, we do this thing called Behind the Banana Peel, where we bring on one of our players and we hear their stories. And it's just fucking fascinating, man. These
That's
guys
awesome,
have,
bro.
Yeah, they have, everyone's got a story, right? And to see these guys and what they're doing and where they came from and how they got here, it's really interesting. And I think more than anything, my boy Kowalski and I, like, we're enjoying learning about other people and learning about what it took and the ups and downs of the roller coaster of the baseball journey and also life as well.
Byrnesy, I watched you for a little while on your birthday. Did you really go 47 miles, bro, on the treadmill?
46. 47.
Oh, you're 46. So how long did that take you, man?
I think right about 8 hours.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, for you, that's a light workout.
Dude, it's like anything in life, Grant. It's training, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you want to be a great writer, write. You want to be a great broadcaster, broadcast. You want to be a great baseball player, play baseball. You want to be a great runner, run. It's one of the things, a passion of mine, obviously, that I got into after I got done playing. And it's something that I've continued to do. And, I think back, I remember, because I talked to you a few different times, I feel like, on the Tri Across America. Yeah. And that was, that was 30, 40 miles every day for,
I know, man.
A bunch of days. So, yeah, look, as we get older, I was talking to this guy, Malachi Mitchell, about this shit, dude. Like, you have time. We have time's finite, and we don't have all the time in the world. Is very naive if you want to live your life like that. So I think, the decisions that we make in our lives need to be predicated on who I want to spend my time with, and how I want to spend my time, and what do you want to do with your time. And running's one of those things that matters to me, and just continuing to move and continuing to be active. That's what allows me to come and sit here with you and come into the moment and have a good conversation as I sip a little bit of tequila here, and then
Yeah.
that's what a lot of that I call playing for the tide too, because you can't be sipping too much of this unless you're going to go be able to run it off in the morning as well.
Hey, you're a beauty. We got so many people that have chimed in on the chat line. Someone says Burnsy is a piece of work. Him and Will the Thrill must watch No Filter. I told you this, Burnsy, a couple of months ago when Will was in his fucking garage. Okay, I learned more about hitting, honest to goodness, in 1 hour than I learned my entire life. He put on a display off the tee about hitting an inside pitch, about moving to the left field, about a high ball, moving up on a breaking ball. I learned more about hitting, no bullshit, Burnsy, in that one episode that I knew. I thought I knew at least something about hitting. I didn't know shit about hitting. And after watching that, I was like, man, I got to watch that every week. He's the best, bro.
Yeah, Will's got a way of I think, because I've dealt with a lot of different hitting coaches in my day, and the one thing about these hitting coaches is like they're all fucking different, man. Like they even if they're saying the same thing, the way they present it's just different. And Will has Will's way of doing it, and it's most of the time it's going to resonate. It resonates with me a lot, and I kind of think I just think back because I had a couple hitting coaches that tried to convey some of what, say, Will does now on No Filter, but it just didn't get through. But Will has this special way of to the term I heard the other day, and I love it. Oversimplifying.
Right.
Oversimplify. Like we try to overcomplicate fucking everything in life. No, like let's
Right.
simplify it. Let's make it as simple as possible. And basically for Will, like, everything that he does when he's like here, basically launch position. Now we're flat through the zone, flat. Even though the barrel's gonna dip a little bit, so what? And then he just threw the ball. That's who he was. And with hitting and launch angle and all the new wave shit that everyone wants to talk about, what's the number one objective? Put the barrel of the bat on the baseball. That's it.
Yep.
And Will was as good as anybody in doing
question.
that. And it's
Burnsy,
fun.
do not to cut you off there, but I really want to get to this. Does Manfred and the owners, do they want fucking baseball to start? I mean, you're a former player. I know you've been through this before, but it just seems to me, Burnsy, that the owners and Manfred, they don't really want a fucking deal. What's your take on this?
They don't want a deal. They don't
Why?
want it.
Why don't Burnsy? Why don't they?
Because they don't make money. So they're willing to lose money, and they don't make a lot of money by people going to the ballpark.
Are they trying to break the union?
I don't know if they're trying. I don't think they're trying to break the union. They're not going to break the union. They know they're not going to break the union.
Okay.
Like, we don't give a shit if we give up the first month of the season because we're not making a lot of money. We have our TV revenue contracts that are coming in anyway. But what we when they look at it, it's pretty break even. Where they make their money is on the appreciation of the franchises. So if they don't have to operate and have all these people come to work for them, and they don't have to pay them, and they don't have to pay the players are going to be giving up $20-something million a day. Max Scherzer's giving up like, I don't know, I saw the number somewhere like $250,000 a day for every day of the season that's not played. So in the owner's mindset, they're like, for now at least, we don't give a shit. And the sad thing is that they don't give a fuck about the fans. And
no,
so
they don't.
Here I am, managing or the head coach of this organization that their whole mentality is fans first. They literally have their players greeting the fans as they come into the ballpark. Everything that we do, everything that we choreograph, it's all for the entertainment of the fans. And you have these egomaniacs that are like, look, we're the best in the world at what we do. We've been around for 170 years and we're still going to be around. And we've gone through this shit before. And you know what? If we lose you guys, who cares? We'll come back. I just think baseball needs to be really careful, man, because at some point there's fans that just won't come back. They won't.
Damn right. Especially with everything going on in the world. I mean, I just think that fucking baseball is tone deaf to what the hell's going on, not only around the world, but in this country, you know, and all the shit that we went through with the pandemic and now what's going on in Ukraine. Fans are getting turned off by this shit. You got billionaires and millionaires not being able to come up with a deal. They don't want that right now, Byrnes. And I'm with you. I do think it's going to hurt baseball in the long term. I really do. Plus, Byrnesy, and I know you and I kind of disagree on this somewhat. I hate the way the fucking game's played now. It drives me crazy. You know, strike out, hit a home run. You know, the number of pitchers. The game is just dull to me. It's that the ball's not in play enough, Byrnesy, and it turns me off. Man, I can't stick through it. I can't watch a game. I can't stick through a 3.5 hour game of the ball not being in play.
I agree with you. They need to figure something out. So I don't know what that is, but pitchers are throwing too hard. They're striking out a ton of dudes. Hitters have been taught that it's on base percentage and home runs pay. So in extra base hits pay. So they're trying to jack every ball out of the yard. I'm not. You and I don't disagree that much on this. Like I think that the quality of the product it's not great. I think it was funny because we'd had this guy Malachi Mitchell on. Malachi, his father was an Olympic gold medalist, like sprinter, right? And so this dude, a world record holder, the whole bit. Malachi's the fastest dude I've ever seen on a baseball field. Like it is insane to watch him play. And one of the scouts told him, he said, look, he's like, I gotta be, as he's trying to like get a free agent deal. He said, if this was 1985, you would have been a first round draft pick.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
We're alienating athletes.
Wow. How about that?
This kid's a fucking athlete, man. He's an athlete. Wait till you watch him play. I'll send you. We're gonna stream these games on No Filter.
Yeah.
He's as fast as I've ever seen on a baseball field. He's that fast.
No shit. Wow.
Dude, he's like 3-4 down to first base last week.
Wow, man.
I was fast as shit. And I was like a 4.041 guy. I took a big swing, kind of whatever. And if I got a jailbreak, I get under 3. I get the threes, maybe like 3.8 or something. Like this guy, next level fast. But we don't. That's not what we're looking for. Like we're like, oh man, can you hit the ball out of the yard? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like our games become less athletic, and that's not great.
Could you imagine fucking Tommy John coming out of high school right now? People would laugh at him. Like pitchers like that, they would have never even gotten a sniff in the big leagues. Think about it. He's one of the best pitchers of his time. And there are so many other pitchers like that. You know, those guys in that era, shit, really, scouts wouldn't even fucking looked at him.
Yeah. You're right. The idea that we'll ever see a starting pitcher come up through the organization and pitch in the 80s,
yeah,
it's asinine. Unless
not
he's a knuckleball. It's not going to happen. But the next wave is because we had 75-year-old Bill Lee out pitching for us last weekend. He got
really?
He got 3 fucking outs, man. Just like that. He got 2 outs. Gave up a base hit. 2 outs, gave up a base hit, and then picked the guy off.
Come on, man. Really?
Throwing. He says he throws 75, dude. It looks like it's about 62. But there's a little hump in it, but he throws below the hitting speed. But he's pumping it right in there. I mean, it goes to show you, like, all you got to do is throw strikes. He throws too slow for these guys. And we got legit pro guys. We have guys. We have 3 or 4, like easily. We put them in the big leagues tomorrow. You wouldn't even blink. You'd be like, yeah, oh yeah, sure. That guy looks like a big leaguer. We have 3 or 4 of those guys. Like,
Well,
and they've been in organizations and they've gotten released or whatever. But they're fucking good, man. But it's the way the game is right now. It's all about home runs.
yep.
And it's all about throwing hard. And so what that's done is it's no one's nearly as good of a hitter as they used to be. When it comes to, like, the Tony Gwynns of the world. It's like, when are we going to see the next Tony Gwynn? Like, that's I don't see it happening. I don't.
No. Hey, the Rod Carews of the world, the Tony Gwynns of the world. That's not you're never going to see guys like that again. Just not. Hey, I got a question, man. Before I let you go, I know you got a lot of shit to do, and you got to get a new cocktail. All right. So before you came on, I was just building you up, man. I was just letting my audience know how phenomenal your Try Across America was and what you did and why you did that. And I was talking about the mental aspect of what you did in addition to being able to do it physically. So I'll ask you, because you've done so many things, is there one athletic, physical fitness, one endeavor that eats at you? There's one thing out there that you still want to try to accomplish on a fitness level that you haven't done that you're thinking of doing?
There's a few that I've thought about. There's one that it's called the Grand Slam of ultra running.
Okay.
That's pretty fascinating to me, and it's the 4 oldest 100-mile races in the country. It's Western States, Leadville, Wasatch, and one out in the East Coast, and they're all done within like a short period of time, 1-2 month period. So that one I've thought about, but I think I've got more into kind of creating your own, right? Like, that's what I learned with the Try Across America. That's what I learned with the 24-hour world record speed golf thing. You have an opportunity to go do. I mean, we just did this daily hustle 22-day challenge, and I went 22 miles for 22 straight days. And everyone picked their own distance. Some guys were like 2 miles this day, whatever. But it's less about racing for me now, and I think more about just being able to create these events and be able to go out there and do it. And then if along the way you can positively motivate some people, even the 47, that was a pain in the ass, dude. It was fucking wild, but it like the 47 or 46 miles on my 46th birthday. I really enjoyed doing that stuff. And, dude, we raised $3,200 or something like that off of the tip button on this platform. And all that going to the LTP Foundation, like, it's
wow.
That's the stuff that matters. But my boy here, Kowalski, I don't think you've ever met him, but he's been eyeballing this tandem marathon record. So you put 2 guys in like a suit, and if we could run, I think it's like a 3:15. 2 guys stuck together in this suit.
Come on.
Oh yeah. And so I'm pretty. If there's one guy I could do this with, it's him. We're just in unison with and we run together. We run every single day. So he's my bench coach here in Savannah, and we run. It's 4 miles to the ballpark, 4 miles there, 4 miles back, and he was with me for, 80% of the Try Across America and like 80 miles of the world record speed golf too. So I think like fun shit like that intrigues me. It's less as you get older, Grant. I mean, you probably know this, dude. It kind of becomes less about you and more about other people. And the more you can involve other people, right?
Yep.
It's more where you could do shit that could have an impact and have conversations that are real. And
Yeah.
do things that you enjoy doing. That's what matters.
Last thing for you, Burns. We got a lot of questions here, but this one really stuck out to me. Somebody said that they never thought that the league would see a player like Shohei Ohtani. Do you think there will be more in the future?
Ah, I I hope so. I mean, like that's you want to talk about like what's good for the game. And as I open the chat and I see here like the Trouts, the Tatises, the Vlads, like these
Yeah.
guys are unbelievable for the game. Shohei Ohtani is like nobody I've ever seen. Like, I mean, dude, this guy's throwing 100. He's hitting 450-foot nukes. Like, but what's happened is we've always pigeonholed people, and we've always said, you're a pitcher, you're a hitter. And I never understood that because here we are in Little League, and typically the best players, guess what? They're the best pitchers and the best hitters. And it's always gone that way. Yet as we go up, we think that we can't continue down that path. And it's like you have to put extra special attention here. And I just don't think that's the case. What will be fascinating though, Grant, because and we'll see where he goes with this, but I think a closer / position player might make more sense. A guy that will take the mound, in the ninth inning is
Yep.
able to do it. For starting pitchers, they're creatures of habit, and it's very regimented and very this and that. But if Shohei Ohtani is throwing 100 miles per hour with a wipeout slider, what the fuck, man? I think you put him at the back end of the bullpen, and you can plan your off days or whatever else. And ultimately, it's about trying to maximize that player's ability. So how do you put him in the best position to succeed? We have a guy here in Savannah that's legit, man. I mean, he's a legit two-way guy. And he throws 90 plus off the mound, and he hits bombs. And so I'm interested to see how we decide to use him. And I think from what I can tell so far is that this fucking guy is going to close games for us, Grant, and he's going to
Awesome.
He's going to be our cleanup hitter. And
wow.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I love that, man.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So, hopefully we see more guys just like that.
Burns, you're the best, man. Have a good night. Have a great weekend, man. And thanks for chiming in on the stream tonight, man. You're the best.
So you're the Grant. You fucking appreciate your commitment to No Filter, dude. You fucking slaughtered. I love watching your guys' stuff. It's just awesome to say the least. And without the filter, it's even better than it's ever been, man.
Fucking A. Hey, see you, bro.
Yeah.
Take it easy. Love you, man. He's the best. I love Eric Byrnes. Seriously. How do you not like that guy? Oh, man. All right. It's now time for our Crowd Ultra Q&A. I got some good questions this week. Go to crowdultra.com and we'll do it. Do you understand why all these NFL broadcasters are switching networks? Yeah, I do. It's called $1 million a game, 17, 18, $19 million a year. Yeah, I understand. I understand very well. All right. How many more series of games do you think the MLB will cancel? Every week that the lockout continues, every week that there's not an agreement, they're going to have to cancel more games. No question about that. Tony wants to know, what's your take on Derek Jeter quitting as Marlins CEO? I read that the number one shareholder, the guy with the money, had promised X number of extra dollars, and then they took that away. And I don't know what the real story is. I really don't. I don't really have that much of an opinion on Jeets not being here. Ryan asked, how long until the NBA expands into Vegas and Seattle? Not long. Not long. I think it's going to happen. Seattle's going to come first and then Vegas. And they ought to take New Orleans and move them out of that city. Nobody wants the Pelicans in New Orleans. What is the second most important position in football? Jay asked. I think it's a dominant pass rusher, guy on the defensive line, a Nick Bosa. Look at what Donald did on the last play defensively to win the Super Bowl. for the Rams. To me, that's the second most important position in the NFL. Alan asked a good question. Is John Morant top 5 NBA player yet? It's a hell of a question. I'm going to say he might be number 5. Yeah, it's a great question. The way he's playing, yeah, I think so. I really do. I think so. Uh, Christian says, what do you think about a Jimmy Garoppolo for Saquon Barkley trade? As a Giants fan, I'll pick Garoppolo up at the airport. All right. Uh, Jake asked, what sport has changed the most over time? I don't think there's any doubt. I think it's the National Football League. I know you could say the NBA with the 3-point shot, but look at all the rule changes in the NFL, from tackling to hitting the quarterbacks. You can't touch a receiver past 5 yards down the field. I think the NFL game has changed the most. I really do. Have you thought about going to the Arco Arena farewell event? I didn't even know about the event until yesterday. No, I have not thought about going. I will not go. My memory of walking out of there for the last time was the memory that I want to keep forever. I was with my 2 boys and my wife, and that's a memory that I want to keep, leaving that arena for the last time. It's a great question. You know, I announced the first ever game in that arena. It was very special to me. That was my first year broadcasting in the NBA. That arena has most of my fondest memories in life. So I'm going to leave it the way it is when I left for the last time. Nick wants to know, what did the Knicks need to become real contenders? They need a new owner. I'll start right there. They need James Dolan to leave the organization. Trevor says, can you imagine if Kobe would have done on Inside the NBA? Would have been entertaining. That's for sure. No question about that. Bryce wants to know, should the Lions draft or try and good thing I don't have to talk for a living. Should the Lions draft or try and acquire a quarterback? No, I don't think so. I don't think they will this year. No, I don't. Andre wants to know, when do you think Kyrie can play at home? I think it's going to happen sooner than later. I really do, and it needs to. These COVID protocols and the mandates in New York are absolutely absurd and ridiculous. All right, it is now time for Grant's Rant, and Grant's Rant is brought to you by New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. For your plumbing needs and repairs, just go to newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. Boy, you know, you would think that James Harden is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know, all week I'm hearing James Harden this, James Harden that, Harden in Philadelphia. Look how good Harden's playing, blah, blah, blah. You know what I see? I see a guy that quit on Houston. I see a guy that quit on his teammates in Brooklyn. And now I got to pat the guy in the back because he's playing the way he's capable of with his new team in Philadelphia. What a unprofessional, I just can't respect a guy that does that. He's getting paid, what, $600,000 a game? And he does that to his teammates in Brooklyn, has a sore hamstring. Where's that sore hamstring been in Philadelphia? And again, all I hear about is, gee, look how great James Harden is. No, you know what? James Harden is unprofessional. He's a bad look for the NBA. He's everything that's wrong with professional sports. A guy that quit on Houston and, as I said, quit in Brooklyn, forced his way out to get to Philadelphia. And now I'm supposed to be impressed because he's playing the way that he's capable of? Screw James Harden. Seriously. I have no respect for the guy. And yeah, I acknowledge that he's an unbelievable offensive talent, one of the best of all time. But I can't respect and admire a player with that type of attitude, the lack of commitment, the lack of professionalism to go out and play for the fans every night. Screw James Harden. And that's my rant for today. Hey, that's my podcast for today. Really appreciate Eric Byrnes coming on the stream. Really appreciate it. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. Have yourself a fabulous weekend. Grant Napier saying, so long, everybody.